What's up guys, OCDMTG coming back at you with another deck profile video. We're working on that 5 deck series with our monocolor decks. So last time we went over Marwyn the Nurturer, we already went over Zada. Now we're going on to mono black, which is Taborax, Hope's Demise. This is going to be a Shadowborn Apostle deck. It is the one deck I wanted to build for a very long time, so I built it. Flying 2/2, Demon Cleric. It gains lifelink as long as I have 5+1/+1 counters on it or more. Whenever a non-token creature I control dies, I put a counter on him, and then if that creature was a cleric, I may draw a card, and if I do, I lose a life. So with this deck being mono black and a Shadowborn Apostle deck, it's very combo-centric, but also at the same time, I am doing one thing and one thing only, and trying to resolve 6 Shadowborn Apostles on the field to be sacrificed for a demon. So onto the deck. The most important thing that we're running is Shadowborn Apostles. I'm running 33. With the math, it checks out. If I want my Thrumming Stone to go off and to get all my Shadowborn Apostles, I'm more likely to get all my Shadowborn Apostles out of my deck onto my field if I run 33. They are all clerics, they are all humans, so they will trigger Taborax when any of these guys die. The magic number is 6, so we'll have 6 on board. Sack them, search my library for a demon, put it onto the battlefield. 99% of the time, it is Rune-Scarred Demon. There are only 2 demons in the deck, Rune-Scarred Demon and Razakath. I wanted to min-max my Shadowborns to demons in the ratios, so I picked the best 2 demons that I could. The initial deck had like 6 demons at most, but having just the 2, yeah, it can be a little weird if you draw either of them in your opening hand or in the first 3 turns. We have contingencies for that. But if you open with either of these in your hand or both, what you want to do is you want to mull them to the bottom. Or, not mull them to the bottom. You want to mull them away. Yeah. You want the Rune-Scarred Demon off the 6 Shadowborns, the ETBs, and then you usually search for your missing combo piece or mana. Usually it's mana. So the other creatures in the deck are going to be 9 other creatures. So in total we run 44 creatures, I believe. So 33 Shadowborns, 2 demons, and 9 other creatures. So 4 of them are actually going to be clerics as well. You got Yawgmoth, Shadowrite Priest, Priest of Forgotten Gods, and Soldevi Adnate. All of these will trigger Taborax if any of them die. Yawgmoth's probably our best one. He's a sack outlet, and he's also card draw, and he's also removal. So, good stuff all in one. Shadowrite Priest bumps up all your other Shadowborn Apostles. Can also pay 5 and sack a Shadowborn, basically. Get a black creature onto the battlefield. Priest of Forgotten Gods, early game value if you can get it out. And the longer it stays out, the more it can get rid of your opponent's creatures, draw you cards, and make mana. Soldevi Adnate, basically using this to sack a Rune-Scarred Demon for 7 mana. But you can also use it to sack a Shadowborn if you just need that 1 extra mana, or you want to just trigger Taborax to draw a card. And then we got 4 other humans in the deck. Oppo Agent, Dark Confidant, Zulaport Cutthroat, Death Greeter. Death Greeter is pretty good to have out with the Shadowborns early game because every time you have a Shadowborn die with Taborax out and Death Greeter out, you're basically just netting a card and not losing life. The Zulaport Cutthroat's there for the draining. Dark Confidant's there for card draw. The Oppo is there to stop your opponents. And then we got Dothy as the last creature. Again, stopping your opponents. These 2 are your only, things to stop your opponents in creature form, but we're running 8 other humans that are not Shadowborn Apostles, which is important for a Patriarch's Bidding. If you get a Patriarch's Bidding, you can name humans and basically get all your creatures back other than Dothy from the graveyard to the battlefield if somebody board wipes or something. So, useful little thing there. If you wanted just the Oppo and the Dothy, you could just name Rogue and then get the both back. If you want to name Clerics, same thing. You're getting back all these Clerics and all your Shadowborns. But those are going to be all your creatures. Next thing we're running are artifacts and enchantments. Only 2 enchantments in the deck. Phyrexian Reclamation and Dictate of Erebos. Dictate, good for keeping your opponents under control, especially when you have these Shadowborns that you don't care for to die. Phyrexian Reclamation, once again, if you have a bunch of Shadowborns in hand, nothing to do, and you have a key creature that you could grab back from your graveyard, using this. And then we have our utility artifacts. Soul Ring, Jet Medallion, Scroll Rack. You're using this if you draw either one of those 2 demons. You can Scroll Rack them back into the deck, activate the Shadowborns, just don't draw with your Taborax, and then you get your demons back onto the field without having to cast them from your hand. Mirror Box can make a board of Shadowborns super big. Can be useful for closing out a game if your combos don't work out. Phyrexian Altar, good with Taborax and Shadowborns out. Sack Shadowborn, draw a card, lose a life, make a mana. Continue the process. Thrumming Stone. Thrumming Stone is the card to use when you are playing a deck that has multiple copies of the same card. And we got top, Aetherflux, and below is the Citadel combo. You're trying to establish this combo out to win the game. So those are artifacts and enchantments. Onto our sorceries. We got Demonic Tutor, Insatiable Avarice, good for the Bulls of Citadel. You can put something on top as a combo piece or just like piece that you need. Tendrils of Agony, kind of my tech card that I like using. Can get you back life during a Bulls of Citadel, or it can also just storm off if you had Thrumming Stone out. All of those Shadowborns that you thrummed out are cast triggers, so Storm can get huge after you resolve a Thrumming Stone with all the Shadowborns, gain anywhere between like 20 to 40 life or something like that. And you can just make a target player lose a bunch of life too. Patriarch's Bidding, like I said, you're using this to take advantage of it for the fact that a lot of your creatures are humans and clerics. Feed the Swarm, and a Bubbling Muck. So 6 sorceries. Onto the instants, we got 10. We've got 5 instants that are just straight up mana. So we got Dark Ritual, Calling the Weak, Sacrifice, Cabal Ritual, and Songs of the Damned. Songs of the Damned is usually what you're getting off of Runescar Demon, at least for me. So I'm stacking 6 Shadowborns, getting out Runescar Demon. Runescar Demon grabs Songs of the Damned. Most of the time you have 6 Shadowborns or more in your graveyard with the Songs of the Damned in hand, so you cast the Songs of the Damned, make 6 mana. If Taborax is out and you drew 6 cards off of the 6 Shadowborns hitting the grave, you are more than likely comboing off from there. And then we have 5 interaction pieces, I guess. Flare of Malice, Sudden Spoiling, Withering Torment, Fel the Profane, and Plunge into Darkness. Veil Profane, an MDFC, so ups that land count. And Plunge into Darkness is again, kind of something that's interaction, but not really. But if you're in a pinch and you need more life, you cast this, sack a bunch of Shadowborns, gain 3 life for each one. That's usually when I'm using it for most of the time. Can also be like a pseudo demonic consultation or tainted pack or whatever. I always forget this thing has entwine, but yeah. Usually it's just 2 mana, sack any number of Shadowborns, gain 3 life for each one. So those are all of our instants and sorceries. We're running 16. Pretty low count. You can switch those out for Shadowborns if you want, or, you know, do whatever you want. But I found this to be pretty good in my current build. Lastly, we got our lands. This deck profile is probably the easiest out of all my monocolor decks. It's very simple-minded. I want to play it because it does one thing and one thing only, usually. Same thing with our other monocolor decks. We're running 28 lands total. So 24 swamps and 4 utility lands. We've got Peat Bog, Crypt of Agadim, Phyrexian Tower, and Westvale Abbey. Again, just kind of more of like a tech land that I wanted to throw in because Westvale Abbey is just a cool land in general. Can, in a pinch, if you have a bunch of Shadowborns out, become Ormondal and gain you life. Can be a pretty good blocker. Blah, blah, blah. Funnily enough, it makes clerics, but since they're not non-token clerics, they don't trigger Taborax, but makes clerics. Clerics are part of the game. Can be a sack outlet if you have Shadowborns out, Taborax out, but no way of killing those 5 Shadowborns, so yeah. Can be useful in a pinch, but you're not really relying on it too much. It's just kind of in there for flavor. Phyrexian Tower, always good for a Shadowborn to make 2 mana, draw a card. Crypt of Agadim. If you can get this out early, it's usually your first land that you play. That way you can use it for extra mana for all of your next turns. And Peat Bog, just help to boost that mana early game. Simple deck. Mono black doesn't have a lot of, I'd say, like, strategy other than you're going to be tutoring and making lots of mana sometimes, but for the most part, this is my build. I think it's fun. If there's any questions, please leave them in the comments. If there's any thoughts or anything, maybe I could take a look at them, see if there's anything I can do to either streamline it more or something, but it's pretty streamlined in the most part. Played it the other day, did pretty well. But yeah, another video, signing off.